Welcome to One-on-One Sports. I'm Alex Sharon, joined today by Adam Lawson and Max Gongaware. Now, boys, we're taught at a very young age to follow the rules. We have public laws, laws of the game, and of course, man law. Now, what aren't set in stone are the rules that fans are supposed to follow. Adam, we'll start with you. What is your top 3 fan laws?
Well, I'll start out with my number 3 law right now, fan law number 3, and that is, thou shalt maintain the right to be upon one's feet. And what I mean by this is, unless you are in a wheelchair or pregnant, you have no right to tell somebody they must sit down. Just because the chairs are there doesn't mean you can use them. And to tell somebody they can't stand and enjoy their game and berate the other team is inappropriate fanmanship.
Before I get to my law number 3, I'm going to disagree with you because that's what we do on this show. I agree with you in that student sections, as us college students, we need to be standing during the games. But if you're at a professional sporting event, or if you're just sitting in like the general seating area, that should not be a rule for you have to stand up. Like,
no, I'm not saying a rule. I'm saying you can't complain that somebody's standing up.
Okay. If one person in an entire section is standing up, that person's going to get bickered at. My rule number 3 is very simple, and I don't have any fancy language for it. Show up to the game on time. Stay in your seat while the game action is in play, and wear your team's color. And this is all one rule, by the way.
Is this something that everyone has to follow, Max? I mean, everyone doesn't have fan colors.
I think every team has a color.
But maybe you don't own that team's colors.
Then are you really a fan?
Okay, all right. Let's keep it going, guys. Go on to the next rule.
Okay, I'm number 2. Okay, here's my number 2. I kind of briefed on this earlier. Stay in your seat unless there's a stoppage in play. I don't want to get up to do that awkward thing where I stand up and let you pass and while I'm also trying to watch the game. It's awful. Wait for a timeout or a hits batsman or whatever while the game is not in action. That's when you go to the bathroom.
You know, if everybody's standing up, then it's still...
it's still awkward.
Anyway, my number 2 is when thou goes to a game, thou must stay until its conclusion. And what I mean by this is, unless you're pregnant again, when you go to a game, you stay till it's over, okay? I don't care that you're down by 20 with 16 minutes left. You stay and you support your team, or you boo them for inconsistent play or whatever. You don't leave early. I go to Elon basketball games fairly regularly.
Yes, you do.
Fans leave even when it's a close game, and it's ridiculous. And
I definitely agree.
Unethical.
I'll agree with you on that one.
Now, Adam, people like to leave early because they're bad games. I mean, is that an excuse?
Think about this.
It's not an excuse.
You don't get to see your team play every single day. And 2 years from now, when you are living in a different city and you can't see your team play, you're going to be like, dang, I should have been at this game.
That's fair, okay.
Or you leave a big comeback happens, a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and you weren't there.
That's fair. I understand what you're saying. What's your last rule?
My rule number 1, fan law number 1, is thou shall not be a fair weather fan. And simply put, listen, I'm a Panthers fan. I will admit it on the air. And I was pulling for the Packers in the Super Bowl. I'm not going to buy merchandise. I'm not going to say, yay, Packers, I'm a Packers fan now. People do that. And I tease you all the time, fictionally, I say that you abandoned the Panthers for the Colts.
Which is not true, by the way. I never cheered for the Panthers.
Yes, but if you do that, if you're a Panthers fan or a Raiders fan or a Lions fan, and you decide randomly, I'm going to pull for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're my new team now because this team isn't good, you are barred from being a sports fan for the remainder of your time here on planet Earth.
All right, that seems a little intense. So let's bring it down a little bit,
That might
Max.
be uncalled for. I do agree fair weather fans are bogus. My number 1 rule, and you're going to not dislike this, you are going to dislike this. Be respectful with your cheers. Adam Lawson is the king of expletives at basketball games.
No comment.
Please, please, please be nicer to the referees. Be nicer to the opposing players and even our players.
If you can get in
Sit down. Let me finish. Look, I'm perfectly okay with yelling things at the players, but if you are cursing them out, that's just gonna fuel their fire even more. If you say something that might make them laugh, that might throw them off their game.
Did he fuel LeBron's fire the other day when he yelled at the fan, be respectful? No, it clearly got in his head, and when you get in the player's head, you mess up their game. You're in their head.
I'm in your head.
I'm going to have to disagree with that.
I'm
LeBron
blown.
actually went off when the other teams were making fun of him. We all remember the Magic game. Moving on, though.
Boom.
You both know what you want to see in these games. You say your laws. You know what you want from these fans. Which teams have the best fans then, and which have the worst? Who follows these rules the best?
Okay, my best fan base is that of the Chicago Cubs. Now, these guys are living in a 5-sport city because they've got the 2 baseball teams and the 3 other major sports. All 4 other of those teams have won a championship in the last 30 years. But yet, I'd still say the Cubs are that city's team. They haven't won a championship since 1908. That's amazing to me. That's the loyalty is a big thing for me.
That's a very good choice. I'm going to go a little bit differently. I'm going to say the Green Bay Packers. And simply because they're in a middle of nowhere city in Wisconsin, 100,000 fans, but they're a publicly owned team, which means they don't pay dividends, so the fans buy stock every now and then, and they don't sell stock that much. The last time they did was a few years ago, and they went from 2,000 to 100,000 stockholders. And what that is you elect an executive board, and they hire the people. And the waiting list for season tickets is long, too. It's a publicly owned team. People care about the Green Bay Packers, even though they're in the middle of nowhere. And they travel. You saw the fan attendance at the Super Bowl. It was marvelous.
I'll agree with you that that is a very good fan base, but that whatever you were just talking about kind of bored me. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys, who are the worst fans then? Whose fans are less than stellar?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Sharon.
We knew he was going to ask.
Everybody it says Los Angeles is good. Los Angeles this and this. What they're not good at is having a solid fan base. Let's face it, people there are a little bit different, a little bit out of their minds in Los Angeles, and they're not going to stay for the end of the game. They're not going to wear their team's colors. They're going to leave at the third quarter. Even when Kobe Bryant is playing, if he's not going off for 80 points, they're going to leave early because they want to catch dinner reservations.
Traffic in LA is pretty terrible.
It's terrible in New York too.
All right, Adam, I think it's well known that LA, it's a social event. Max, who's your worst
All
fan?
right, my worst sports fans are those of the English soccer teams. Now, they do have passion going for them, and I do appreciate that. But you could die sitting in the stands of an English sports game. It's happened before. Those people are out of their minds. I do have to put on my honorable mention list for worst fans of, if they even exist, of the Florida Marlins. Have you seen their attendance? It's
I
miserable.
have, or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Imagine if there was a blackout rule for the Florida Marlins.
All right, I have to stop you there. I know you both could go on for all day, but that's all the time we have. That's it for this edition of One-on-One Sports Webcast. Be sure to check out our other episodes and to check out our TV show on ESTV. For Adam Lawson and Max Gongware, I'm Alex Sharon. Whose side are you on?